Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Today we're going to be reading over a statement from the CEO of Ford. He said something that sounded reasonable and then followed up by saying something that sounded completely and absolutely insane. Let's play the part that sounded reasonable.
I think Ford's position is very reasonable. We're really a big advocate for the ability to repair a vehicle, but it has to be done at a reasonable cost.
Sounds too good to be true, ain't it? Let's play the part that sounds insane.
But you don't want people repairing their own vehicles.
No, that's fine. Not for warranty work, though. These are very complicated cars, and we don't think that's safe for many of the repairs on our vehicles. Someone at home like myself could never do it. I mean, I have no problem working on a 73 Bronco. To work on a brand new Bronco, I need all sorts of specialty tools. That's something that we would put people's lives at risk.
Where do we begin with unpacking this? I'll start with the simple stuff. Warranty is something that you should still have the option to go to the dealer or do yourself. Just because a car is in warranty does not mean that there is no reason for you to go to somebody else to have it fixed. I have a phone. My phone is in warranty. If it randomly starts crashing and doesn't work, I can take it to Google to get it fixed for free. If I smash it on the desk 20 times because I'm frustrated, they're not going to fix my screen for free. They're going to fix it for a certain price. And I should have the option of going to an independent, fixing it myself, or going back to them. Warranty is not going to cover everything that happens to your car. Hell, I went over a case in this channel last year where Hyundai wanted to charge somebody over $30,000 for a battery because they went over a gravelly road. It doesn't mean that a warranty is going to make sense for people in every case. More importantly, let's get to the part where he's talking about the 73 Bronco and the modern car. He's saying that he needs all sorts of specialty tools. That's something that could put people's lives at risk. Now, one of my favorite shows of all time is The Honeymooners. I love Jackie Gleason, great actor. He was great in Smokey and the Bandit, but even better in The Honeymooners. And there's this one time where he's talking to Ed Norton. They're playing a game, and he goes, "Heads I win, tails you lose." When you're talking about heads I win, tails you lose, heads, you're correct. And you've actually engineered a car that is so horrible that doing basic oil changes, basic brake changes, basic maintenance, hydraulic brake fluid kind of stuff is stuff that could literally kill people. Or B, you're just lying and full of shit. One way or the other, there's no good way to interpret that statement. Even if you are telling the truth, it means that your engineering department is so horrible that you're engineering cars that are dangerous to use if you are doing basic repairs. And one of the things I used to say when I would go to all these legislative hearings, I used to say if I wanted to replace the USB-C port in this Zoom or replace a screen on a phone or something, why are we arguing about safety and security and everything else when we're talking about this? Where we lived in a society for the past 100 years where you could drive a 6,000-pound truck down the road at 70 miles an hour and you could fix the brakes in your garage. And we just accept that as a society. Yet for some reason, when it comes to these newer devices, we are seeing arguments for years on whether or not independents or the owner should be able to fix it. This is ridiculous because a car has a much bigger chance of killing somebody than a mobile phone. And what I was trying to say there is we should look at the repairability that we've had in our culture for the last 100 years and apply it to modern devices. What you guys used to say very cynically is, Lewis, stop saying that shit, because they're not going to say you should be able to fix the USB-C port on your Zoom. They're going to say that, no, you guys should, wait, you can fix the truck yourself? Oh, we got to get rid of that. And it's been 11 years since I got that comment on YouTube, but in 2026, we are at the point where the CEO of Ford is outright saying, oh yeah, work on a new truck? Work on a Ford Bronco. Oh, we can't have that. And it's really weird because, again, a Ford Bronco, we're not talking about a tank, or we're not talking about a Hummer, we're not talking about a drone that flies places. This is for all intents and purposes, in my opinion, a basic-ass car. If you made a Ford Bronco in a manner where working on it and doing basic routine maintenance and basic routine repairs is the type of thing that could risk people's lives, I believe that you've done a shitty job of engineering that vehicle. And that's something that has to be looked at. Now, this is all, in my opinion, a complete pile of bullshit. Because when you take a look at this report from the FTC called Nixing the Fix, it came out, I did a video on this, I believe, in 2021. They have said in this report that there's virtually no evidence for all of this. It's a 56-page report that goes over everything. And I quote, "Other than citing to mobile phone thermal runaway occurring in Australia in 2011, manufacturers provided no data to support their argument that injuries are tied to repairs performed by consumers or independent repair shops. This is so despite the fact that the call for empirical research specifically asked for data concerning the risks posed by repairs by consumers or independent repair shops. The reality here is that dealers are afraid of losing business. And they have a good reason to be afraid of losing business if you take a look at some of the surveys. A 2025 Cox Automotive study found that dealerships are losing service customers to independent shops, quick oil change outlets, and mobile services. In the study's own words, dealerships handled 12% fewer service visits than they did in 2018. But the real damning part is the amount of people that are going back to the dealer for their service. Among owners of cars 2 years older or newer, the share returning to the selling dealer for service fell from 72% in 2023 to 54% in 2025. That's almost 20% drop in 2 years. They see that as a very, very big risk because many automotive manufacturers are making more money from maintaining their fleet of vehicles than they are from actually selling you the vehicle. Now let's talk about the context for the comments that were made. These comments were made right after the reps from Alliance for Automotive Innovation, National Automobile Dealers Association, General Motors Chief Mary Barra, and Jim Farley met with President Trump. And they had a meeting on this, and the reporting on it was very interesting. Now, the moment I saw Alliance for Automotive Innovation there, I'm just going to give you an idea of what this group is about. I knew that this was going to be a complete pile of bullshit, and that's what it was. There's a video that I did on Mark Humphrey from Alliance for Automotive Innovation and some of his testimony that he gave before the Copyright Office. There's a process that happens every 3 years where people have to go to the Copyright Office and say, please, may I have an exemption for breaking digital locks so that I'm not dragged to court or taken to prison for making aftermarket ink from my printer? Please. It's sad. It's a joke. There's a law that prohibits you from breaking a digital lock in something you own, even if it's for the purpose of repairing what you own. And now that cars have a lot of data inside of them, many people want to be able to get access to the data that their car is producing, which makes complete sense. There are people that think there should be crazy limitations on that, and I have shown you some of the things that they say in past YouTube videos. Some of them have said that by giving repair people or the owners of the car access to the data that their car produces, you're handing the keys over to China, Iran, North Korea, putting safety and security at risk. Your car isn't just a vehicle. It's a rolling network packed with data. So-called right to repair laws would give unrestricted access to that data, opening the door to hackers, cheap knockoff parts, and adversaries like China, North Korea, and Iran. We can't let Washington put our drivers, data, and national security at risk. One of my favorite posts I ever made on YouTube, one of the best performing posts in my entire channel. So you say right to repair would allow Chinese hackers to access my data, the data that you were collecting. Why the fuck were you collecting my data in the first place, motherfuckers? And you can see the little goose chasing Jim Farley down a hill, which is great. I think that's what should happen. I hope that goose does chase Jim Farley at some day. The manufacturers are trying to keep you from being able to get access to the data in your car because that data inside of your car is now increasingly necessary for mechanics to be able to perform repairs and economically viable repairs. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation consistently lobbies against you being able to have access to the data that's in your car. They consistently lobby against there being exemptions for repair in Section 12.1 of the DMCA. They don't want you to be able to have access to what is in your car that you bought, and they routinely lie about it. As I went over in the video that I did on the Alliance for Automotive Innovation, I'll just read you some of the highlights for that for people who don't want to spend 15 minutes of their life watching that. He lies about this memorandum of understanding that was made over 12 years ago and how it works. There's a memorandum of understanding that says that the independent mechanics need to be able to get access to the same things the dealers do. However, this has a loophole for wireless telematics. Telematics means instead of having to plug the thing into your car to be able to get diagnostics and scan information, that is now transmitted wirelessly. So there's a lot of data that's transmitted wirelessly that independent mechanics do not have access to, and they are looking to get access to it with a bill that they oppose. He also points to a commitment to give independent mechanics access to all this stuff that was made in 2023. It is literally voluntary, unenforceable, represents less than 1% of shops, and is rejected by every major group. He claims that independent repair shops have access to this stuff, and this is a very, very important needle to thread because they say that they have access to what is necessary to repair the vehicle, but the people that get to decide what is necessary are, you got it, the dealers. I can fix a MacBook motherboard even if you give me the newest board and I don't have any schematic. I'll fix it. Give me 100 hours, 200 hours, 300 hours of fucking with it and comparing with other ones, and I'll figure it out. But that doesn't work for me because I need to be able to do these repairs for a few $100s because you could buy a new one for $999. Technically, it is possible to do all of this work. But if you want small mom and pop shops that are able to do this work for a few $100s to exist, they need to be able to get access to the service manual that the manufacturers provide to their own authorized dealers. And the problem here is that they're doing something very similar like that. If the dealer can give you an estimate immediately because they have access to the data in your car, if they're able to see the logs and what's going on with it, and the independent has to tell you, I have no idea, you're going to have to show up. And again, who should be choosing who gets access to the data in your car? You. Not the manufacturer. This is a serious issue in spite of what Alliance for Automotive Innovation says. The Auto Care Association survey that came out in 2024 that surveyed many independent repair shops said that 84% say vehicle data is their top business issue, 63% experience difficulty making routine repairs on a daily or weekly basis, and 51% send 5 or more vehicles per month to dealers because they can't access the data inside the vehicle. People like the Alliance for Automotive Innovation believe that the data that is stored in your car belongs to the manufacturer, not you. And I think that is absolute and utter bullshit. On Thursday, June 4th, he said that the auto officials want a bill that prohibits people from fixing their cars, though it was unclear what legislation Trump was referring to. There are various pieces of legislation going through Congress that will protect owners' right to repair their own vehicles. We had the auto industry in yesterday. They don't want people to fix their car, Trump said. I said, that's strange. I'd never heard of that. They have a thing to, nobody's allowed to fix their car. They gave a man 7 years in jail, actually, because he fixed his own car. So I thought we'd do something about that, but we'll get it all straightened away. You believe it, Trump continued? They want a bill that prohibits people from fixing. So if you're mechanically inclined, I grew up, I went to school with some guys. They were in some cases horrible students, but they could fix an engine blindfolded. They could take a car apart blindfolded, but they weren't too good at arithmetic and other things. But they were great, and so there's a move on to stop people from fixing their cars. I didn't understand it, but we had a great meeting yesterday with the head of General Motors and Roger Pence, the head of Ford. Trump said, we had a great meeting, I think. So when somebody who says that people can die if you're able to fix your cars, so you shouldn't do it, meets with the president alongside somebody who says you shouldn't get access to the data inside your car, along with people that believe in all this shit that Iran and North Korea and China and everybody else is just going to steal everything and the world is going to end if you're able to actually be able to get access to the diagnostic stuff. I don't think they were meeting for something that benefits the American people. The Repair Act, which is going through Congress right now, which I think is great, would require that the automotive manufacturers provide independent mechanics access to what the dealers have so that they have access to the data that's in your car. You should be allowed to choose who gets the data that's on your car, not the manufacturer. I think it's a great act. And what the CEO of Ford is going for is saying, sure, we'll allow that, but outside the warranty period. If a car is a warranty for 8 years, that means that you can't choose who you take your vehicle to for 8 years. Now, there's going to be people saying, actually here, and there was that whole part about not knowing what bill he's referring to. And if I were to steelman the people that were saying that Trump is full of shit in this particular hearing, if I were to really steelman that for a moment, what I would say is, actually, they're not saying that a bill should be passed that keeps you from fixing your car. What they're actually saying is they want a bill that would help you fix your car get watered down so it doesn't help you fix your car. And to that, I would say that is, in my opinion, a distinction without a difference and absolutely not what we should be arguing at this point in time. Even if you despise Donald Trump as a president, I am just going to refer you again to what the CEO of Ford just said.
But you don't want people repairing their own vehicles.
No, that's fine. Not for warranty work, though. These are very complicated cars, and we don't think that's safe for many of the repairs on our vehicles. Someone at home like myself could never do it. I mean, I have no problem working on a 73 Bronco. But to work on a brand new Bronco, I need all sorts of specialty tools. That's something that we would put people's lives at risk.
That is where the focus needs to be here, because that's scary. The Repair Act, as it is written, is very strong, and they would like to water this down as much as possible. It's not about passing a law that keeps you from fixing your car. It's about the manufacturer withholding your access to the data that's in your car so that you can't take it to other people and have the same experience. And again, anybody who's going to actually the president on that one, it is a distinction without a difference, and I just don't care at this point in time. Now, a law that is on the books that restricts this is Section 12.1 of the DMCA. Let's say that the manufacturer does not give you access to the data that's in your car. Let's say that they refuse to. What if I'm a really smart engineer? What if I figure out how to get access to the data in my car? What if I post that to GitHub and then show other people how to do it? 3 to 5 years in federal prison for me. And guess who lobbies for that 3 to 5 year prison sentence to exist for people like me that do that? Alliance for Automotive Innovation. The Repair Act is a good thing. You should email your congressional representative in the House and the Senate and tell them that you want to see this pass, and if it gets watered down in any way from its current form, even the tiniest bit of watering down, you are going to be voting for their challenger in the primary and their challenger in the general election. Seriously. Even if you're not, you don't got to tell them that. Do a bluff for me. Do me a favor. Number 2, support reform of the DMCA, especially Section 1201. There are many people that will say, Louis, you're entitled. Why do you expect the manufacturer to provide you with tools or schematics or what you need to do your job? And my answer to that when it comes to this particular instance would be, if I make a tool to be able to do my job, if I was a mechanic and I made the tool to get access to that data and I showed you how to do it, 3 to 5 years in prison for me. That is why farmers that want to fix John Deere tractors are using cracked software from Ukraine, because Ukraine don't have a Section 1201 of the DMCA, but we do. It is a shitty law. And again, if somebody's watching this, if somebody's watching who's a staffer in Trump's administration, I will continue to repeat this point over and over again. Show this clip.
Unfortunately, at least in some areas, our policies haven't worked out too well. Our attempts at copyright control, at least thus far, have not been successful. But I don't just blame teenagers and college students. I really blame the moguls in the music industry, because had they been thinking about these business models when we were doing our work in 1994 in the Clinton administration, had they been developing effective online distribution models when the internet first came into business, had they been talking to Steve Case when AOL first started to become a big deal, and really seriously developing an online business model, perhaps we would not be in the situation that we are. But the culture of that industry was such that those people were concerned principally with and their talents were developing talent, understanding public taste. They didn't know anything about distribution or technology or anything like that. Minions dealt with that. Well, their industry has paid the price. Hopefully there's not any, I won't be quoted in the U.S., but I'm afraid our Clinton administration policies didn't work out very well.
Fuck this law. It is such an easy win to get rid of this law. As I said before, it was passed by the Clinton administration. It was passed by Democrats, and it has a treaty with Europe. Trump would love to rip up a treaty with Europe. Let's be real. Do that. And sign the Repair Act. And lastly, when we talk about anti-repair practices by automakers, I don't want the conversation to consistently be something where we're talking about Tesla. I'm not trying to defend them. There's a lot of bad things there. But the problem is that if we always talk about Tesla and how they have certain anti-repair practices, they tend to take all the heat. And then it's very easy for every other automaker to kind of wrap themselves in this blanket of we're not them. And I don't like that. And also note the cars that he's referring to here, because Tesla, we also wind up talking about electric cars being less fixable. He's not talking about the Mustang Mach-E being less fixable. He's talking about the Bronco. Everything that they're talking about here is not just applying to electric vehicles. It's also being applied to internal combustion engine vehicles, because all these devices nowadays have computers running everything in them, whether it's electric or powered by gas. By all means, on this, if you just search for the word Tesla or Elon on this channel, you will see I have a lot to say and a lot to criticize. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be, but all I'm saying is that think twice before you leave a comment about how Tesla is the primary or only anti-repair automaker, because it gives cover to every other brand that's doing the exact same thing, and at this point, saying it out loud. Because those comments that I got 11, 12 years ago on this channel saying, Lewis, please don't give them ideas. They're going to say that you should be able to fix cars now. They were right. They were right. If you want to read more, I will include links to wiki articles down below that go all over all of this. If you want more citations, more sources, more details, I'm going to be doing this for all the videos that I do going forward. So instead of it just being a complete clusterfuck of random links in the description for all my sources, you can actually see a document that goes over all the things that I talk about if you would prefer to show this to other people in written form, or if you just know people that would be interested in this but would not be interested in listening to a 10-minute video. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something.
We also have the duty not to infringe the IP rights in the process. It is in fact the manufacturers who have the relevant rights, not consumers.